Okay, we're good. Welcome everybody. My name is Patricia.
I'm Jamie.
I'm Olivia.
And I'm Miriam.
And for this week's post, it asks, what are the different ways of defining what it means to be American that are mentioned in the film?
Welcome to week
Which
10.
means do
This code the putting is
agree with
messing. I'm like, oh my god, it's going to be that.
or think is most important? Sorry. Okay. Um. So I think that the main point of like what it means to be American is that like you have these rights that are like given to you by law, but like the men mentioned in the film sentence home, um the 47-year-old, or I think it was 41, who was like deported, um like they weren't given any rights, and then like because of the fact that they were undocumented immigrants, and like they were treated differently because they didn't have like the proper documents, even though they lived in America like for so long. So and honestly, like I don't think being an American should like solely be based on like where you were born or where you came from. So I think it's really like more identifying like your own self as an American.
I also agree with you. And I really couldn't find much about what in the movies, I guess, of what the meaning of American is. But in Sentence Home, it talked about how even though they were Cambodians, they were Americans by experience, education, and language. So I guess the definition of being an American would mean that you were like born in the US and you have like proof, I guess, and paperwork of, I don't know, you being born there. But at the same time, it's like there are people who are born in the US, but they're still not like accepted.
Yeah, I wanted to agree to what the last part you said, because I think it was last chapter where um, so undocumented Asian immigrants would come and then they would make a kid there, so the kid is like a citizen, but the like government thought to like take away their citizenship from the kid, so that even takes away their American part. So I think the only way to be actually American is to be white and born
Yeah, I kind of agree like what all of you said, but like at first I was thinking like, oh, to be an American it means like you have to really work hard for what you really want, just like what everybody did. But even when like Asian people worked hard to try and become an American, they still weren't accepted. So I agree with Jalen, like you kind of have to like look a certain way and be a certain race and ethnicity to be in like an actual American and to be accepted.
Mhm. And also, I feel like definitely what you said about Olivia about like how Asians aren't accepted. And I know like a lot of Asian people who deal with this, but like when others ask like where you're from, and they expect you to say like somewhere in Asia when you were like born in the US.
there. Also in the film, um, I kind of agree with what the government did was like we let you in, but then if you like don't follow the rules, we let you come in for free. So why are we gonna do that? Why are you gonna stay here if you're not gonna follow the rules? So we have to like deport you. Like it's kind of understandable because it's limited space for everyone. And but I just kind of didn't like how some of them already spent their time, but they were still held like years more.
Mhm.
And like some of them already had families in America, right? Like the guy in Sentenced Home, like after I think was being in jail, he had his family, but like he was still deported to, I think it was Cambodia, right? So that
Mhm.
was sad that he had to leave, you know, his family and like his two younger daughters to like grow up without a dad. So that's very like devastating.
Yeah, and like he even did his time and everything. And like it happened so long ago and they still like deported him, and even with his wife and kids, they still did it.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's really sad that you can't really, they don't know when they're actually gonna get deported. It could be 5 years from now, it could be tomorrow. That's like the only thing that really sucks.
Do you guys have anything else to say for that one? Okay, we'll move on to the next question, and it's asking, how does the concept of deportation reveal who can and cannot be or become American? Make references to the keywords chapter deportation to support your arguments. Okay. For this, I said that anyone who's like Asian American and like have committed fraud or anything criminal or like illegal seems like they are viewed to be unfit to become American. So then they are like more likely to be deported back to their national country, even though like some Asians, like I said earlier, like grew up here or like moved here when they were like what 2 years old, and American culture is what they've like been used to.
I also put that in like, so if they have a criminal record, then they can get deported. Like even minor crimes, it doesn't really matter if they serve their time because they committed a crime. And it's like sad that they didn't even look at like case by case. It was just like, oh, if you committed the crime, then you have to get deported.
Yeah, and it even said at one point, with regard to Asian American history, the wartime experience of Japanese Americans were necessarily haunted by the threat of deportation. So basically, like the whole time they were living in America, like they always had the thought in the back of their mind that they're gonna get deported.
Referencing to deportation, the only way to actually be like an American is that an immigrant married a citizen, and like say even though they entered illegally, if they married a citizen and they followed like all the rules and they demonstrated all like what a good citizen would do, they would the government would be like, okay, we'll let you stay.
I also feel like it kind of ties in with, I guess, who deserves a second chance, because even though they were undocumented immigrants, the government gave them the opportunity to stay. But then when they committed those crimes, it was like the government was like, we gave you your chance, but you kind of played with the cards. But at the same time, it's like they made a mistake, but they also served their time and they were able to learn from their mistakes. So I guess it depends on the severity of the crime in this case. But in general, it's like if you're talking about yourself giving someone a second chance, it depends on how badly they hurt you or what they did. So in the end, it's kind of like up to us to forgive them. And for in this case, it's up to the government because they really don't have a say in if they're going to get deported or not.
And also adding on to that, like a lot of them they're like born into bad neighborhoods because they knew no other way, because all Asian communities were in like bad neighborhoods, and so they kind of were born into crime, I guess, because it's either like kill or be killed kind of thing. And yeah, like they had no other choice. So it was just like their setting in their home played a really big part on that too. And then the government chose to punish them for what they couldn't control.
agree to what Olivia said, that the government is already like, they already put them in a horrible spot. And like they expected them to be a model citizen when you put them in like a horrible neighborhood and crime is like, increasing and all that. So how, like, what else are they supposed to do?
Actually, also, I forgot what I was gonna say earlier, but it was kind of sad that they took out the second chance, which I think is what Miriam mentioned earlier, where like the authorities would give them like second chance to not be deported. So like but then like the government like revoked that authority because of like the illegal immigrant reform and like the Immigrant Responsibility Act. So I feel like that was like more unfair to Asian Americans. Um, so now we're moving on to the third question, and it asks, are there any memorable scenes in the films? What is the significance of the scenes? So what do you guys like remember the most?
I think like all of the scenes were really sad, especially since or the one with the family. I don't know how to say his name. It was like Lowen. Yeah, he like already had a family and he had a stable job, but then I guess because he committed a crime, he had to get deported.
Yeah, that was one of mine too. And also when they were interviewing what's it called? He was a guy and it was right after the family interview and he I guess he was explaining that they were born in the ghetto and that's where like I got my idea from that. They were born into poverty and crime and everything, so they couldn't help um but be in a gang.
And like his crime wasn't even that severe. It was like a rival gang was chasing him, and then he just like shot a gun in the air. And, like he didn't kill anyone or anything, but he was
Mhm.
harm to society, so they just put him in jail.
Yeah, he was basically just like protecting himself and then they still um held that against him.
Another scene that I also like remembered the most was when Kim in the sentenced home was like saying goodbye to everyone he loved, especially like I think it was his mother. Like he said that he was trying to like hold back his tears, but then like when he hugged the woman, he just broke down. I felt like so devastated when he did that because like I know what it's like to say goodbye to the ones that you love. So
And also from the film Sentence Home, I hated that like they were imprisoned here in America, and then supposedly when they go to Cambodia, they're like free, right? But they spent like a month or something in like a prison.
Mm-hmm.
And also it sucks because like they were, um, I think his name was like Kim, like he was like taken away from Cambodia when he was super young, so he doesn't really remember anything about it. And like I can't remember, but I don't think he speaks the language either. I think he just speaks English. So he put in like Cambodia where it's all new, and then he has to like somehow find a job, find a space to like shelter, stuff to eat. It's like really tough.
And
Mm-hmm.
also I didn't know the guy's name, but it was like the first guy that they interviewed and he said when we got to America we thought we were going to be Americans just like everybody else. So like, you know, like it made me realize like little did they know that they were going to go through so much and like be like literally like have a target on their back.
Mhm. Another scene that I found was meaningful was like the Adam, yeah, I think that's his name. How he like built a life for himself in the US, but then he got deported, and he talked about how he felt handicapped when he had to move back to Korea, and he thought about killing himself every day because it's like a whole new, even though he was born in Korea, it was like a whole new world for him because he didn't know the language or like the culture. Like, yes, he looked Korean and he fit in with everyone in Korea, but he had like no idea what he was doing.
Yeah, and like, didn't he say that he got lost trying to find his apartment? I think it was when he got dropped off by the taxi. And then so the next day he was like, I'm not going out. I'm scared to be lost. So that's kind of like
Mhm.
sad that, yeah, he is Korean, like you said, but in a way he like didn't fit in with those people because you know he was like on inside he was American.
So what Miriam was talking about, how you know Adam made like a life for himself. I want to relate that to Manny from Sentinel's Home. Like, even though he didn't know how much time he had left in the States, he was like, okay, I gotta make a name for myself. So he made like a little league and like, coached the baseball team, and it was like fun. And it was really heartwarming for me.
Mhm. I also thought it was really sad when he has to like, I don't know how many times he had to go to that place to check
It
if
was
he was
every
getting
3 months.
deported or not. But yeah, like he gave the his phone to, I don't know, the person recording him. And he was all like, if I don't make it out, can you call them that I'm not gonna be able to make it to work? And that kind of made me really sad.
Like, shouldn't he be like? Shouldn't he call like his family, like tell them that like, I'm being deported? But he's like, no, call my job. That's the most important thing. It's crazy.
Yeah. It just sucks that like they never know when they're gonna have to leave. Like they might not even be able to like, say like goodbye to everyone.
And they said that like they only give him like a week notice, right? Or about
Hmm.
a week.
It was just that specific case.
Yeah.
It could be even less, to be honest.
Mm-hmm. Also to the Loon guy, I don't know how to say his name, but I like how he already started like making a life in Cambodia by like building his house, like his little house there.
Mm.
Like he was trying to make the best of whatever came out of his like, you know, this bad fortune. So like even his wife, she was like working hard just so that way she can go follow him and like take their children to him so that way like they're still together. So that was actually like very like inspirational to me.
Yeah, I was kind of confused in the film because she was saying that like I'm trying to get like a lot of money so I can move there, like with my husband because I'm not gonna leave him. But then I think at the end, the narrator was saying that like, oh, like the wife and the kids are planning to come visit every year.
Hmm.
I was like kind of confused. I thought she was moving there, but she's just gonna visit every year. Which they,
I think she meant like visit every year until like she can move, you know, with like her kids, I think, but I'm not sure. So now that we're all done with like the questions, I wanted to ask like what you guys got out of, you know, this whole discussion posting, like what it taught you.
it's like it's really sad that they wanted to leave their motherlands and make like a name for themselves. So they come here and then they thought they're free, but they're not. Like and like the government puts them in like horrible spots, and then like okay, just go do you, but you can't do anything wrong. But it's already made up for them that they're gonna be like deported. can relate to this because my cousin, he uh, he was doing a job. He was like 19, and he was doing a babysitting job. He went to use the restroom, and the kid he was babysitting, like he burned himself, and like it was like kind of his fault because he left the kid unattended. But then I guess like since he was like an immigrant, the judge was like, I'm gonna give you like 9 years just for that. And he was in there for 9 years, and since he like wasn't able to be a citizen, as soon as he got out, he got deported back to the Philippines. So yeah, it's really sucks. Random freedom, right?
Mhm.
I think this discussion kind of taught me that like not I guess not everyone is accepted. Like I guess we're doing better now than before, but like people are still getting I don't know discriminated.
And also, um, I just wanted to say, like, as Asian Americans, like, even if you are documented or like undocumented, I feel like you have to always be constantly like aware of your actions just to make sure that like you're not doing anything against the law, that might like cause you trouble, so I feel like um not everybody like understands what Asian Americans like has to go through. And I mean not even just like Asian Americans, but like also like, Mexicans and like other cultures. So it's pretty hard.
Yeah, it is hard, especially when like they came here like in search for a better life, and they were just trying to like make money for their family and build a family like here in America. And like they couldn't even do that because everybody was against them. And yeah. Mhm.
I think we're good now. Bye.